Hello, everyone, and welcome to our vlog for today. The truth doesn't fight. So I want to ask you a question. How many times have you got like this brilliant idea and it just comes in and it just feels like a yes? You are just like, yes, oh my gosh, this feels so good. And it feels so right. I don't know why it feels so right, but it does. And then there seems to be this little voice that pops up. It's like, oh, no, 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 you can't do this, or you're not good at whatever the case is. It starts basically being like, no, 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 no. But then it seems like there's this other voice that comes up and it's like, yes, 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 you should. Oh my gosh, like totally 100%, do it, do it, do it. And what I found is that we all seem to think that that's the ego fighting with our spirit. We'll even say, oh, I'm right. For those in the spiritual community, you'll be like, oh yeah, my ego's, my spirit's fighting with my ego, or my ego's fighting with my spirit, however you want to put it. When in truth, that's not what's happening at all. Because your spirit or spirit is truth. Truth does not shift. Truth does not change. Truth merely is. Truth does not need to prove itself. Truth, we have this intrinsic understanding that the truth is true. Now, illusions, on the other hand, and the ego, according to A Course in Miracles, is nothing more than the idea that we could be separate from our source. That's all the ego is. It is, again, the idea that you could be separate from your source. How good does that feel? Just to know that the ego isn't a force, it's not a power, it's just a stray idea in our minds that we made that makes us believe that we could be separate from our source, that we're just bodies, we're just personalities, we're just our stories, we're just victims. Like that's all that we are, right? And that's what the ego wants us to believe. So when we have this faux conversation with ourselves about, oh, yes, I should do it. No, I shouldn't. That's not your spirit and your ego fighting for your attention. That's your ego facilitating its idea, its core principle of separation. It's basically just separated itself or disassociated itself from itself and said, oh, yes, you should do it. No, you shouldn't. Yes, you should. No, you shouldn't. It's the ego fighting with itself because, again, the truth doesn't shift. The truth doesn't prove itself because it is what it is. It doesn't need to prove itself. The ego, on the other hand, the illusion of the ego or the illusion of separation has to constantly defend itself, to revalidate itself to us. Okay, to the thinker of the idea. It has to be like, oh, yep, see, separation's real. See, you're even separated in your mind, and look, now spirit and ego are fighting. No. Ego constantly fights. I will give you that. Ego is an illusion. So it's constantly changing, constantly fighting, constantly trying to validate itself to you to focus on it, because the ego knows that without your focus and attention, that it is nothing and that it will no longer have any power. It understands that. However, it's a crazy, mad idea. And so even though it understands that, it still doesn't want the best for you. It's still not looking out for you. It's going to constantly facilitate its core function: separation, separation, separation. And that you're just a body and that you're just here for, that's it. You're just a body. You're just a personality. You're just a role. You're just a victim. You're just a this. You're just a that. Any box that can put you in, it's going to put you in. So it's always talking. Okay. And again, even though that first voice that spoke to you, that idea that came through, that was spirit. However, the ego always speaks first and loudest because that's how we set it up to be, because it is our idea. And it's not good. It's not bad. It simply just is how we set it up. And that's okay. What we can do now, armed with this knowledge, is instead of engaging with that fight that the ego is having and fueling it with our awareness, with our focus, with our attention, is now that we know that the spirit and the ego that the spirit doesn't fight, that truth doesn't fight, we can take that step back. And we can say, okay, I can notice that right now I'm trying to fight for this idea, or I'm trying to like make my, again, in my own inner monologue of yes, I should, no, I shouldn't. I notice this, let me step back. Okay. And stepping back means removing your focus. Now, what are we going to put our focus on? Well, we want to put our focus on the truth. However, those voices are still probably speaking really loud, and they're probably really wanting to get your attention in, your attention, because again, the more attention you feed, the louder they seem to get, the more sense they seem to, all of those things. We take our focus and attention off of them and want to place it onto spirit. But how do we do that? Well, you can use just this little saying, spirit, I give this situation to you. I dedicate this situation to the light of truth. Or spirit, take this from me and heal it for me. Or spirit, please don't use this for my destruction, but instead for the coming of my peace. Or spirit, you decide about this for me. And again, you're stepping back. You're saying, okay, I don't know how to look at this. I don't know how to see this. I don't even know really how to decide about this. What I do know is that I'm tired of this illusionary fight, and I want the truth, because again, the truth does not shift. The truth does not change. And that's how we can be sure that we're looking at an illusion, because an illusion constantly shifts, an illusion constantly changes, but the truth never does. The truth is always true. If the truth, we're just going to use this as an example, is a pink elephant, then it's always going to be a pink elephant. It's not going to change to an orange giraffe. It's always going to be a pink elephant. Now over here, well, it may be a pink elephant, an orange giraffe, a blue hippo, a tea tree oil lamp thing. I mean, it's going to shift and change forms constantly. That's what illusions do. They just constantly shift, constantly change. The truth doesn't. The truth simply is. And we want to put our focus and attention onto the truth, because the more and more we place our focus and attention onto the truth, then that's what we're going to see more of, the truth. Okay. And we all have our own intuition, right? And our intuition, which everyone has, I'm not special. No one who has intuition is special, because we all have it. Because what is our intuition? If we break it down to its smallest component or its simplest way, our intuition is our direct connection with what is true. That's all our intuition is. And we just like break it down. It is our direct connection to what is true, which is truth. So it's our direct connection to truth. And we all have it. We all have that ability to tune into it. It is just us accessing it. It's us taking our focus and attention away from the illusions that are fighting with each other to prove that they're real, and to come over and focus on what is true. And I'll ask you another question, because I'm sure everyone has experienced it in one way, shape, form, or another. Either you have met someone and maybe they say something and you're just like, that doesn't sound right. You've just interacted with truth. Perhaps someone comes up to you and they're like, smiling and they're happy and they're like, hey, how are you? And you're like, there's something off about that. You just had an interaction with your intuition. You just contacted what is true. Okay? Because you're seeing past the illusion, the veneer that they're trying to put on. And again, they're not doing it on purpose to trick you. They're just dealing with their own stuff. That's it. They're operating on their own programming. We don't know what that programming is. We're not here to judge that programming. We can simply come from that space and be like, okay, instead of, well, was it? Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. What felt true in that moment? What did my intuition say? What did my direct connection to truth tell me? My first instinct. Okay, that wasn't right. Okay, I accept that. I honor that. And I'm willing to move on. I'm not going to vilify that person and say that they're bad or terrible or this or that. What I am going to do is I am going to follow what my truth is, follow what truth, not my truth, but follow what truth is telling me. Because the ego has in A Course in Miracles what are called the laws of chaos. And the laws of chaos are like, oh, well, there's my truth, and then there's your truth, and then there's the truth. The truth is true. We may have different perceptions of the truth. We may have different flavors of the truth, but there is only truth. And it's either the truth or not at all. And I know that sounds very black and white and be like, well, this is my truth. But if you think about a car accident, when people go and they see a car accident and there's like 20 different, 5 different people there, and you're actually getting like 10 different stories from 10 different angles, everyone's like, well, that's the truth. Well, that was the truth from your angle, from your perceptual view. We want to take even a step back from that, and we want to go to that intrinsic, intuitive, this is what is right in this moment, okay, as I am in contact with truth. So again, the ego is going to constantly fight, constantly trying to validate itself, trying to validate its existence, trying to validate that it's right. And that's another great question for those of you who have worked with me personally, and we've done some judgment work. My favorite question is, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? That's my number one question, and I love it. Because if you want to be right, okay, great. Then you're going to get the grand prize of being right. Congratulations. Now that person is a terrible, bigoted person, and that's what you're going to continuously see. Or do you want to choose to be happy? Well, if you want to choose to be happy, that means you're choosing to see the truth instead of your illusion. And what is the truth? Well, again, that person, when they greeted you, maybe they were just having a really bad day. We don't know. We're not there to judge it. And we're not there to condone their actions either. We are merely saying, I want to set myself free. And so I don't want to be right about this situation, about my judgments and perceptions about this person on this particular day or this particular year or whatever the case is. I want to choose happiness, which means I want to choose the truth. And I want to choose to see the truth. I don't know how to do that, but that's okay. Again, why is that okay? Because you're going to hand it over to Spirit, and Spirit's going to make the decision for you. Okay? And through you. And it's going to help you to see things differently. Because again, our eyes, and this is what I learned from Robin Duncan, and it was such a game changer. My eyes do not see. They merely report back what I believe. That's all they're doing. They're reporting back what I'm believing in that moment or what I'm thinking in that moment. That's all they're doing. They're just bringing that back to my awareness. Nothing more. And so you can ask yourselves again. So when that situation comes up, well, what must I believe in order for this to be happening? Well, maybe you get cut off in traffic. Well, I must believe people don't know how to drive. I must believe that people are impolite. I must believe that I'm a victim of the world and that people are always out to get me. Whatever the case may be. And then we hand it over to spirits. No, Spirit, will you decide about this for me? Will you decide? Will you help me to see this differently? And that's all that it takes. Because again, the truth isn't going to fight to say, well, you need to believe me, believe me. Hey, I'm over here. Look at me, bright, shiny. That's the ego, 100%. Look over here, look over there. Look. Ooh, something shiny. Because it's trying to get your attention. It's trying to get your focus off of what is true. Because it is, if you will, fighting for your attention. The Spirit doesn't fight for your attention. It just says, I'm here when you're ready to focus on me. So that has been our vlog for today. I hope you found it informative and bringing forth some clarity. And I send you all my love, and I will talk with you soon. Bye for now.